Good morning. Today is December 14th, 2017. This is Brian, your cynical mystic. How you doing today? I imagine quite a few of you are probably still feeling some of the effects of the time of reflection from last night. I've already spoken with a couple of people today who are really still in a process of reevaluating a lot of things. And that's pretty fitting for what came up today. The energy of the day that came up is the Eight of Swords. And the 8 cards are all ruled by Hod. If you have the Tree of Life, this is the base of the path of severity, and it's a Mercury position. So you're talking about movement, you're talking about the servant of the moon, you're also talking about deceit and trickery, as well as insight, knowledge, magic. You're talking about a place where all is certainly not as it seems, especially since it's Hod in the Yetzirah plane, the astral plane, which is fundamentally tricky. So, let's dive into this card. The Eight of Swords appears just difficult. And this is the Rider-Waite, probably the most difficult looking one, at least of the traditional 4 or so decks. Crowley's looks maybe a little bit more intriguing with swords of different types, all intersecting 2 straight points. But what we have here is the bound woman, and she's bound, blindfolded. These swords are all next to her, so there's tools all over the place for releasing the ropes, but she's in no position to use them. She can maybe back up into them. It doesn't look like her feet are actually bound, really. It's just her hands, and she's blindfolded, so you wonder how she got into this position. And you wonder what's the nature of the bind she's in. Because it's in an 8 card, which usually has to do with kind of short-lived individual success, you see that she's gotten herself into a standstill. And it's a swords, so it's a standstill of the mind. When I was meditating on this card, when it first came up, the phrase that came out is, when the mind can move no further, it's time to feel the feelings. And that's really fitting with the action card that came up for today, which is the 4 of Swords. Here you have a place of rest, death maybe, but certainly rest. So after the reflection of yesterday, this is really not a day to think. If you are thinking that all is maybe not okay, this is not the day to come up with a bunch of plans of how to make it right, because you're not going to get very far with intellectual endeavors today. Do what's in front of you, please, and rest. And your thoughts will probably be emotional, because it is time to feel the feelings. And this was the thought card, was the 9 of Cups. When you relax and let go, you might find yourself pretty satisfied. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, comments, complaints, please feel free to comment below. This is Brian, your cynical mystic, sounding off.